But when we're talking about building competent children, and these are children who are going to take on their own learning and who are going to be successful adults, when we talk about that, we talk about these small steps, but one of the small steps we talk about is something we refer to as a just noticeable difference. And that just noticeable difference is recognizable. I've gone from throwing you a blue ball to throwing you a red ball or a big ball or a little ball or bouncing it or turning around and throwing it behind my back. But it's a just noticeable difference. You notice it, but it's not a big deal. And so if you're on the spectrum, the thought that goes through your mind is, this is different, but I can do it. And competence is built off of a series of these just noticeable differences that are then punctuated with a challenge. And the challenge is something that is not just a just noticeable difference, but something that challenges you to use your mind because you don't know what to do. But it's built on this backlog of competence, so you are willing to take a minute and think about it, and you actually see children doing this. They're surprised, and there's this kind of pregnant pause, and they wait. You can see the mind working. The thoughts are traveling, and then they do it. And that's where the neurological growth occurs, and that's what leads to independence as adults.
And I was thinking about the relationship dance between parents and their children, and how much that has actually been looked at and studied, and how basically in RDI, we're just bringing parents who've gone through this trauma into this understanding of what they would typically have done with their typically developing children, because with typically developing children, we offer just noticeable differences almost as a flow of our relationship with them. And as I watch my daughter with her now baby, who's 6 months old, I see her just put in just noticeable differences with not seeming to be mindful of it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how with RDI, I think a difference being from other therapies is that RDI says, yes, you can do this. You can do this, and we're gonna show you a different roadmap for getting there, but you can do it. So rather than saying, turn your child over to me because I know how to do it. And to be honest, Catherine, you and I have worked with so many children at this point that it does become second nature to figure out where they are and what to do next. But what's the point of that? You know, the point of it is, can the parents feel what we feel? And so giving parents that opportunity to have that sense of their competence too.
Well, that is
really builds on the relationship.
That is beautifully said. And it seems to me to be the most beautiful expectation our parents should be able to have, that this is something they can have. And I a lot of times tell parents, because parents are like, I don't care what happens to myself. I want for my children. And I tell them, it's okay to want this for you too. It's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. I was also thinking about how when we're talking right now today, people who are watching this podcast might be thinking, oh, but my child is older. You know, my child just got the diagnosis and he's 22 years old. And I am really loving my work right now with young adults who have been so confused about why the world doesn't make sense to them, and to be able to establish a guiding relationship for them that gives them that same sense of competence and moving forward towards something.
And I think those are things that people can have a hope for when you have the guiding relationship, and you come to have, you don't have a crystal ball and you don't know the personality. I love talking about, for another time maybe, the individual personalities of our children coming out.
Yes. That's right. We don't have a cookie cutter program because children are not cut with cookies. They don't, they don't look like a reindeer or Santa Claus. They have their own, they have their own views and their own opinions and their own likes and their own dislikes, their own talents.
And I've had parents again say to me, I love that you're talking about my child and his or her personality. And I'm like, well, being human, they have one.
Yeah.
They have their personality, and some of the things we're seeing are about who they are as a self, who they would ever have been. Autism is something that occurred, and it all we want is for them to be the best them they can be with themselves and with others. I think it's a wonderful plan. And talk about great expectations.
Great expectations. I think that's what we'll call it.